Hey siblings in Christ, I'm Deacon Erica, and I wanted to share with you this week what I got to experience last week. So I went to Los Angeles for the Genesis Gathering, which was a conference put on by the Episcopal Church and sponsored by the Office of Church Planting and Congregational Redevelopment. The conference went from Monday until Thursday and was an opportunity to get to meet people from across the Episcopal Church who are doing what we're doing, planting new churches or congregations that are in a period of redevelopment. For example, I met a priest and rector whose church had been displaced by Hurricane Harvey in Houston. And so they've had to move and relocate for the last 2 years, and they're in a period of redevelopment. But what was exciting for me was meeting with all of the church planters and hearing all of the amazing ministry that's going on across the Episcopal Church. I am incredibly thankful to Grace, to Epiphany, to the Diocese of Nevada, because unfortunately what I heard throughout the conference was a lot of pain, a lot of isolation, and a lot of trouble with money. So there are clergy who have started church plants that haven't become financially self-sustaining, and they're working other jobs in order to not take a salary from the church plant. And that is not the model that we're using, thanks to the vestries at both Grace in the Desert and Epiphany and the willingness of the diocese to try a new model of church planting. And I am so grateful because we are all doing this together. We have the financial support of both parishes as well as financial support and administrative support of the diocese, as well as the discernment group that I had an open invitation to both parishes to come and participate. We have 14 people that are participating with a good mix from both parishes in figuring out what does it mean to partner with God in what God is doing in a new neighborhood. I am not alone. We also have a clergy team that's working together to support both parishes to be flourishing and thriving communities, as we are also working on getting to know our neighbors in the southwest corner of the Vegas Valley. So I stayed quiet a lot of the time because I didn't have the same pain points, and I don't anticipate having those pain points. And so thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful for the love and support and excitement in this partnership. And so I just really wanted to get that across to you all. But I also wanted to share with you some of what I learned. And it was an amazing program. We had lots of small group discussions. We had a keynote speaker who was with us the whole time and did sessions every day. We had workshops. We had opportunity to be in deep conversation with one another. And here are some of the biggest things I learned. So the overall kind of message of the conference was that the church today is being called to be the weavers of the social fabric in our communities. And that's how we can be the ongoing ministry of Jesus in the world, is to help weave together the social fabric of our community. And the ways that were suggested to do that was to develop relationship with one another and to practice with each other in our congregational community so that we can go out into the larger community with those skills and have conversations and develop relationships. So one of the things that I learned about how to engage in story sharing in a relational way was to start with something like, what are the circumstances of your birth? And share about your birth for 2 or 3 minutes and then listen to someone else share about their birth story. And the wonderful thing about that is that we have all been born. And so it could be a joyous story, but it also could be a story that's full of pain and grief, and that's okay too. And that was one of the really great ways that I learned to start a conversation, but also asking people what brings you joy and sharing with them what brings us joy. And what are we grieving? And what are they grieving? Or what do they miss if they're away from home, or if they're new to Las Vegas, which, as we know, I mean, I am new to Las Vegas. A lot of us are new to Las Vegas. So what is it that we miss about home? Another opportunity to be in deeper relationship with one another is to get to know what our gifts are and what each other's gifts are. And one of the questions that was suggested as a way to get to know what our gifts are and what other people's gifts are is to ask the question, what do you know well enough that you could teach somebody else? And I thought that was such a great way of phrasing it, because it invites everyone. So many times we think, oh, I'm not a teacher, like I don't know how to teach anything. And so I love, like, what do I know well enough to be able to teach someone else? And so for myself, I don't know, what would it be? What came to mind is crochet, but I don't know how to crochet very well. But I did recently teach my daughter what I did know, and she's taken off with it. Several of you have commented on my coffee cup cozy that she made for me, and it's really handy. And so, but it could be anything. It could literally be anything. Gardening, reading. I guess that's one thing I know I could teach, because I love to read. But reading, or painting, or woodworking, or stamp collecting. Like, there are so many things that we all collectively know how to do well enough to teach one another. And when we listen to those stories, we're able to identify and name gifts. And that is really important in community. Not only to name and recognize people's gifts, but then to give them an opportunity to utilize those gifts in the community of the church, or in the community, in the wider community. One of the stories that was shared was by the keynote speaker, was that in doing that relational work in the community, he found out he had 35 artists in a 10-block neighborhood of the church. And so got them all together, talked about their art gifts and what it was they wanted to do. And someone had noticed all of these discarded doors, like front doors, but they weren't being used. And the artists were like, yes, we would love to do this. And so each artist was paid to tell their story on one of these discarded doors, and they were given money for supplies, but they were also given money for their time. And in the end, it transformed the community, because they had these beautiful doors that were sharing stories, and they got installed on people's front porches, again, not as their front door to open and close, but as a piece of art for the community to be able to share. So I just thought that was such a beautiful story, and a great way of hearing what people's gifts are and then utilizing them for the good of the community. And one of the key practices that we were introduced to, and we got the opportunity to do in the community around St. Mary's, the church where we were meeting, was neighborhood walks. Now, I have been taught to do this in seminary. You go to your church and you walk the neighborhood and you see, what does the neighborhood look like? What does it feel like? What seems important? This was a completely new way of doing a neighborhood walk. First of all, the keynote just emphasized again and again, go out by twos. We go out by twos. And so it was really exciting for me to talk with people about what Bishop Elizabeth has invited us into, to go out into the community as two parishes to plant this third church. I was like, yes, we're doing this 2 by 2, but also to do these neighborhood walks in pairs or groups of 4 or 8, so that pairs can split off and maybe go down different blocks. And he said to start small with like a 4-block radius. But in the neighborhood walk, looking for what are the assets in the neighborhood and where do we see people employing their agency. And that really changed the experience of doing a neighborhood walk. First of all, walking and talking with somebody and just having a different perspective. We had wonderful conversations with people as we were walking by. There was a woman whose husband had been working out in the yard and cut himself, and so she was tending to his finger, and she was kind of making fun of him, poking at him a little bit, but we were having such a great time just getting to know them, talking with them. We met some other people along the walk that were just so excited to share their story and share what their gifts were, and we were able to invite them to dinner later that night. They didn't end up coming, but that's okay. We got to have a wonderful conversation and really deepen a relationship in a short period of time. So it was really, really good practical experience. And then the last main thing that I took from this conference is that the Episcopal Church has so many resources for church planters that I didn't know about. There is a whole office of church planting and congregational redevelopment, and they have an online course that's free, that's available. They have a ton of resources. There's podcasts, there's books to read, there's a monthly Zoom call that I actually had been invited to start participating in when I registered for the conference. And so I found out that that wasn't just leading up to the conference. It's every third Thursday, and it's an active workshopping Zoom. It's not a boring Zoom. It's very much like you bring your ministry to the group and say, this is what we're working on. And then all of these innovators and church planters from across the church help you kind of work out whatever is going on in your ministry. So I've been learning a lot through those Zooms. So I was happy to learn that they're going to continue, that it's an ongoing thing. I thought it was just to get to know each other before the conference. And the other thing that I found out is there is some grant money available. Now, we're not really in the place yet to apply for grants, but it was good to know that it's possible if we have a big dream that comes from our discernment. The Episcopal Church has some grant funding that can help support us. So I just came away so energized, a little exhausted. Okay, that's not true. A lot exhausted because I'm an introvert. And so I love people and I love interacting with people, but it does really drain me. So I came back with my tank a little empty, but I have been resting and praying and letting God just fill me up. And, I get to worship 3 times, once on Saturday and twice on Sunday with you all, and that fills my cup so much. So I am feeling refreshed now and ready to implement and continue to walk this journey with you all of what God is calling us to do. So again, thank you for your support financially. Thank you for your support in prayers. Thank you for walking this with us. Thank you for your doubt and your skepticism and your excitement and your joy. I am so very, very fortunate to be doing this ministry together with you all. So blessings on your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.